No, I didn't know if it was actually recording my voice because it had a little microphone down there next to me. But, alright, we are doing Chapter 4, Lesson 5 today. It looks like our Chapter 4 test will probably have a small little quiz towards the end of the week. I'm probably going to put lessons 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 5, and 6 together. And we'll do a small quiz over them probably Wednesday or Thursday. And then we will put lessons 7 and 8 together and we will do a small quiz over them. We will not have a whole Chapter 4 test. It will just be 2 small in-class assignments. Because I feel like Chapter 4 is kind of broken into 2 separate sections. One we really work on division and the other one we work on some understanding of numbers, where we work on prime and composite, and we also work on divisibility rules. So those two will be a separate test from the division here. Okay, so when we look at numbers, we have, what's this number inside the box called? Hello? Some of you are on task, some of you are not. What's the number inside the box called? The dividend. What's the number outside the box called? Okay, today we are going to work with numbers that have 1-digit divisors, which means the digit outside the box, there's only going to be one. It will not be a double-digit number. Okay, tomorrow we will work with problems that have a 0 in the quotient, and the quotient is the answer to a division problem. Okay, and sometimes that can be a little bit confusing when it comes to being able to determine some of us forget the zeros when we got to put them up in the quotient. It throws us off a little bit. So we will review that. Okay, so today, again, my dividend is the number inside the box, Caleb B. My number outside the box is called the what? No. Dividend is inside the box. Outside the box is the... What did you say? Divisor. Okay, please sit on your bottom. Okay, so when we look at long division, we're going to, this is going to be a review. You guys did start this. Okay, how did that get all the way out there? Obviously you did a little more than tap it. Okay, when we're dividing, we follow the same process every time. I know I've preached this probably 15 times now. If you don't know your math facts, division's going to be hard. Okay? The rest of 5th grade is going to be hard if you don't know your math facts. Okay? The first question I have to ask myself is, does my divisor go into my dividend? Do I automatically put it into the whole number? No. Long division lets me break that up. Okay? How many 5s go into the hundreds right here? 600. Okay? 5 goes into 6 one time. Notice I'm putting my 1 directly above my 6. 1 times 5 is 5, and I do what operation? Subtract. 6 minus 5 is? Bring down. How many times does 5 go into 17? Put my 3 directly above my 7 because that's the number I took down. Again, I multiply around. 3 times 5 is? Subtract. 7 minus 5 is? Bring down my 6. How many times does 5 go into 26? 5 times. 5 times 5 is?
25.
Okay, I have nothing left to bring down, so this becomes my, how do I write that? So, 135 remainder 1. How can I check this answer? What could I do? Chloe, how could I check my answer? But how do I take 5 times 135 remainder 1? I don't know how to multiply a remainder 1. You're close. What do I do? Chelsea?
You take 135 times 5, and then you add your remainder on at the end.
Okay, I do my whole number times my divisor, then I add the remainder. So 135 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to put my 5 and carry my 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is... Oh, that's weird. I had that there too. 5 times 1 is... Plus 1 is... I got 675. Then my directions tell me I have to add my remainder. 676. So, your whole number quotient times the divisor, add remainder. Remember that from last year?
Yes.
All right. So, one more example, and then I will give you one to try on your own. Let's look at, let me make sure they don't throw any tricksters at you. I would hate to not prepare you for a trickster. Thank you. Here's one for you. 792 divided by 4. The first thing I ask myself, does my divisor go into the first digit, which is 7? How many times does 4 go into 7? 1. 1 times 4 is? I subtract. 7 minus 4 is? Bring down my 9. How many times does 4 go into 39? 9 times 4 is? 36. Subtract. 9 minus 6 is? Bring down my 2. How many times does 4 go into 32? 8 times 4 is? My remainder is? Do I have to write R0 up here? No. Okay, if I wanted to check my answer, how would I do that, Keely? 198 times 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 3. 4 times 1 plus 3. 792. Okay, here's your ticket to your homework. It doesn't get any more complicated than that, folks, but if you really don't understand it, I would gladly meet you at the back table. You are doing 131 divided by 2. When we look at this problem, and I asked you to solve this problem, I gave you this one on purpose because we just did examples where my divisor automatically went into that first number, and in this case it does not. I have to put it into 13 versus 1. So 2 goes into 13 how many times? 6 times. 6 times 2 is? Subtract and I get 1. I saw many of you, and there wasn't just 1 or 2 of you, there were several of you who put 5 up here. You should be in your seat listening. And then you put 10 here. Well, you're right. 5 times 2 is 10. But do you see when you subtract how you got a 3 here? When you subtract, this amount can never, ever, ever, ever be larger than my divisor. Okay? This amount here, when you subtract, can never be larger than my divisor. Otherwise, I know that it goes in there one more time. And that's where, when we have our 6 here, notice we can get 12, and it's still smaller than 13. Okay? So then when we subtract that, we get a much smaller number. Okay? Then I bring down my 1. 2 goes into 11 5 times, giving me 1, a remainder of 1. So keep in mind, when you're subtracting, before you bring down, if that answer is larger than your, what number? Divisor, It cannot happen. Your remainder can never, ever, 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 ever be larger than your divisor. Okay? So, say that to yourself. The remainder can never be larger than the divisor. Well, at least 2 or 3 people are following along. The remainder
can never be larger than the divisor.
Okay, get it out of your mouth. I don't know why you people chew on so much all the time, but please quit chewing on things.